All right, let's dive right in. We're about to unpack one of the most powerful, tightly reasoned arguments ever made. Seriously. It's like a legal case for faith, laid out thousands of years ago. But its verdict? Well, its verdict changes absolutely everything for every single one of us today.
The whole entire thing hinges on this one massive question. It's a universal question, right? If God's standard is perfection, then how on earth can any imperfect person, like us, possibly measure up? This isn't just some dusty theological puzzle, it's a deeply personal question. And the argument we're looking at proposes two completely different paths to an answer.
So here are the two options. Is our standing with God a wage that we earn, or is it a gift that we receive? Think about it. If it's a wage, it's based on performance. You do the work, you put in the hours, and God owes you. But if it's a gift, well, a gift has nothing to do with performance. It's given freely, out of grace. This one distinction, wage versus gift, is the absolute foundation for everything that follows. Okay, so to settle this debate, the Apostle Paul calls his star witness to the stand, Abraham. This is Father Abraham, the founder of the nation, a true titan of faith. The logic here is just brilliant. If anyone could be made right with God by their own good works and religious deeds, it would have been this guy, right? So let's see what the evidence actually says. And here it is. This is the bombshell evidence, Exhibit A. Paul quotes directly from the ancient scriptures, from Genesis. Now pay close attention to what this verse doesn't say. It doesn't say Abraham performed amazing works or Abraham followed every rule perfectly and it was counted to him. No, it says he believed God, and because of that simple belief, something incredible happened. Righteousness was counted to him. Let's zoom in on that word, counted. The original Greek is logizomai, which was an old-school accounting term. So picture this. It's like God opens a celestial ledger for Abraham. And on the basis of his faith, not his works, God credits righteousness to his account. It wasn't earned, it was imputed. It was transferred to him as a new status. This just lays out the two systems side by side. It makes it so clear. If your standing is based on what you do, your works, then you could actually boast. You could walk up to God and say, hey, you owe me, I did the work. But if it's based on faith, all boasting is completely out the window. How can you take credit for a gift you didn't even deserve in the first place? You can't. Now, Paul, being the genius that he is, totally anticipates the counterarguments. He knows what people are thinking. For his original audience, there were two non-negotiable pillars of their relationship with God, the ritual of circumcision and, of course, keeping the law of Moses. So Paul systematically dismantles both of these arguments with a piece of logic that is just as simple as it is devastating. He doesn't get into a big, messy debate about how important the rituals are. No, instead, he asks this incredibly sharp, simple question about timing. It's a brilliant legal move. He just asks, when? When exactly did God credit righteousness to Abraham's account? Was it before or was it after he performed these key religious duties? And boom, the timeline makes the answer undeniable. It's crystal clear. Abraham was declared righteous by faith way back in Genesis 15. The command for circumcision, that didn't even come along until Genesis 17, which was at least 14 years later. And the law of Moses, that was given at Mount Sinai over 400 years after that. Faith came first, not just by a little, but by a long, long shot.
So the takeaway here is crucial. The rituals could not possibly be the source of his righteousness. Circumcision was an outward sign of a reality that already existed in his heart. It was a seal of the deal, not the deal itself. And since God's promise came centuries before the law, being right with God can't depend on keeping the law. In fact, Paul argues the law's real job is to be like a mirror, to show us just how much we fail, to reveal our sin.
But what did this faith of Abraham's actually look like, in the real world? This was not some vague, passive hope, not at all. It was an active, rugged, resilient trust right in the face of an impossible reality. The facts on the ground were brutal. Abraham was nearly 100 years old. His body was, as the Bible puts it, as good as dead. Sarah's womb was also described as dead. From any human perspective, the dream was over. It was impossible. But clashing with that impossible reality was God's unwavering promise. You will be the father of many nations. And here's the key. Abraham looked at the facts. He considered his own body, but he didn't let those facts become his ultimate reality. He didn't waver. The text says he staggered not.
Instead of focusing on his own inability, he grew strong in faith by focusing on God's absolute ability. He was, and I love this phrase, fully persuaded that God could do exactly what he promised.
Now this is the moment. This is where the whole argument pivots from ancient history and lands right in our laps. Paul makes it perfectly clear. This story wasn't just recorded to tell us cool facts about Abraham. It was written down as a pattern, a blueprint for us.
And here we see this incredible, beautiful parallel. Abraham's faith was in a God who could bring life from the deadness of a womb. And our faith is in the very same God who performed the ultimate act of bringing life from death, raising Jesus from a dead tomb. It's the same God, the same principle of faith, just applied to the single greatest event in all of history. Paul wraps it all up with this powerful two-part summary of the gospel. You can think of it like this. Jesus' death on the cross was the payment, delivered for all our wrongdoing. But his resurrection, that's the divine proof that the payment was accepted. It's God's cosmic declaration that the debt is paid in full. The resurrection is our divine receipt that guarantees we are justified. And when you look at it this way, you see this amazing consistency of God's plan down through the ages. It's beautiful. From Abraham, who trusted a God who brings life from death, to King David, who wrote about the sheer joy of a God who forgives the sinner, all the way to us today. The specific focus of our faith gets sharper over time, but the foundation is always, always the same. Complete trust in the grace and power of God. So after laying out all the evidence, this is the final verdict. Let this sink in. Our standing with God is not based on our performance. It's not a wage we earn. It's not a prize we achieve. It's a gift we receive. Righteousness is credited to our account the very moment we place our faith in the finished work of Jesus Christ. And that leaves us with this final, crucial question to chew on. If it's true, if your standing with God really doesn't depend on your performance, if you can get off that exhausting treadmill of trying to be good enough, what does that free you from? And maybe even more importantly, what does that free you for?